Warning: Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Family, when I say that it doesn't behoove us to be Republicans or Democrats, every day someone's coming out and proving my point. In today's case, we're talking about the ignorant misinformation that Judge Joe Brown has been spreading on the art of dialogue. Let's get into it. What it do, family and friends? Welcome back to the Church of Black Power. If you're not subscribed, go ahead, hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you're hitting that like and share button so we can beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear. And if you have not done so yet, please click that link in the description. Go to change.org and put your signature on the petition for reparations. And with that being said, family, I felt it very necessary in order to touch on this subject, because I'm consistently talking about how you have to have a short memory in order to be a Republican. You have to have a short memory in order to be a Democrat. And on both sides, they're the same wings attached to the same dirty buzzard, attached to the same dirty pigeon. It's crazy to me how people who are so well versed and well studied will then turn around and tell a blatant lie about the history of our people here in America. But they're supposed to care so much about our people here in America. And when you see people do that, whether on the left or the right side, it has to be called out. And I don't care who it is. When they're blatantly telling misinformation, giving misinformation, that is, in order to prop up some nonsensical racist trope, that needs to be called out. And in my opinion, Judge Joe Brown said the things that he said here in order to give a shout out to those anti-black racists in a Republican Party, because he calls himself a Republican. In the very same way, Larry Elders running around here talking about fatherless homes, knowing that the CDC and all the other studies that came out have shown that we are the most active in the home. We participate the most in our children's everyday area of activity. In the very same way that you have all these Myron Gang type people and all these other folks running around here talking about black crime, talking about we were 13% of the population, but 50% of all crime, without stating that we're 56% of all acquittals. These things are done in order to give relevance to the anti-black talking points that these white supremacists practice. But family, let's get into it.
I know you're real critical of Juneteenth. Can you speak on that?
Piece of I'm insulted. Let me tell you why. 50-some years ago, I was an intern at a D.C. think tank, and considering the subject matter, which was what led to the passage of the Civil and Voting Rights Acts in the 60s, what impact did the civil rights demonstrations actually have on events? one of my assignments was what happened to the Negroes in Texas? Why were they so long delayed in understanding that they were no longer slaves? Well, when I looked, what seems to have happened from the log entry of the U.S. naval officer, I think he was a lieutenant commander who was acting captain of a warship. What happened is he pulls into Galveston Harbor and he sees black stevedores working on the docks, and they are people with lashes, whips, beating these workers. And he brings his first lieutenant. He says, what the devil is going on? They're being treated like slaves. So when the lieutenant goes down there with a Marine guard, he finds out that these niggas think they're still slaves. So what winds up happening is the commander of this U.S. naval vessel dictates a letter, and he has copies of it made. And 20 of those letters have the date of June 19, 1866. 2 of those letters have the date of June 19, 1865, which is right after the Civil War. The other one is 3 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, 2 years and some months, 2 years and 5 months after the 13th Amendment is passed out to the states to end slavery. 2 years after, well, a year and a half after Appomattox, when Lee surrendered to Grant. A year and a quarter after Sherman took Johnson's surrender, and the war was over, and these still have not found out they were slaves. To compound the whole mess, General Sheridan had sent a unit of black cavalrymen from Jackson, Tennessee, and Memphis, Tennessee, down to Texas to announce to the Negroes that they were no longer slaves. So they would not believe their black military brethren when they got told they weren't slaves, and they remained slaves for another year after they didn't have to. So I'm thinking that when I grew up, everybody used to know that, and they'd ridicule Juneteenth as that's those crazy, ignorant fools down in Texas that want to celebrate being a slave a year after they didn't have to be. So what was wrong with them? So we thought it was.
All right, let's stop there for a second. Anybody who knows the history, and this is why I'm not pulling no punches on this, because Judge Joe Brown, he's a very intelligent man. He's a very well-studied man. And the nonsense that he just said here, whether maybe some parts of it may be true, the letters he read, whatever, but the way that he's framing this is totally disingenuous. Why? Because there were several freedom days. There were several emancipation days, or what they would be called at the time, Jubilee days, across several states. And the reason for that is because even though the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, it was not enforced all at the same time. The enforcement of the Emancipation Proclamation and the freeing of the slaves happened very gradually and locally. The reason why is because the Emancipation Proclamation only applied to the territories that the United States government had control over. And it took a while for different areas to get that patrol or that government entity in their areas, in their territories, in order to enforce the freeing of the slaves, to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation. Let's go here, family. I had ChatGPT just bring up all the dates here, right? Quick, let's go through it. Emancipation was gradual, local process. The Emancipation Proclamation, January 1st, 1863, applied only to rebelling states. Enforcement required Union presence. And some states/territories ended slavery by state action or by the 13th Amendment. Where communities have a specific Freedom Day, I list that date. I cite primary and secondary sources so you can drill down. Texas. This is the one in Galveston. June 19, 1865, Juneteenth. Major General Gordon Granger issued General Order Number 3 in Galveston, announcing enforcement of the Emancipation Proclamation in Texas. This is the origin of Juneteenth. The District of Columbia, April 16th, 1862. Congress passed the Compensation Emancipation Act, signed by Lincoln, abolishing slavery in D.C., April 16th. It's celebrated locally as Emancipation Day. And that wasn't the only thing that Lincoln did. This is why it's called the compensated emancipation, because within that same act, he paid off former slave owners for the property that was being released, the former enslaved. Let's continue. Mississippi Columbus, Eastern Mississippi, May 8th, 1865. The 8th of May. Union troops reached Columbus/Loudon County on May 8th, 1865. Local Black communities have celebrated May 8th as Emancipation Day for generations. Florida, Tallahassee, May 20th, 1865. If you're noticing, most of these 1865s. In Tallahassee and part of Florida, late May 1865 dates are used to mark when Union authorities read/declared freedom locally. May 20 is commonly cited regionally. Georgia, May 29th. South Carolina, January 1st. Tennessee, August 8th. Missouri, January 11th. Maryland, November 1st. Louisiana varies by locality. Local commemorations exist. Arkansas, Alabama, North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky, etc. varies. Many communities celebrate Juneteenth or local emancipation days. So what is Judge Joe Brown speaking about? If he's saying everybody knew that those Negroes were just, those stupid Negroes over there that didn't know that they were free, all of these places have their own emancipation days. Joe? So you saying that really doesn't make sense. And I would hold that to the location in which you were schooled or the location and the time in which you went to school. But you're so well versed in everything else. You telling me you didn't know the history of Juneteenth and you had to do a full study on it? I don't take that as factual whatsoever. I believe that there's misinformation deliberately getting tossed in there. Let's go back to what he had to say.
There's a peculiar affliction of folk down there in Texas dealing with their circumstances. So I was quite surprised when this movement developed that we need to celebrate Juneteenth. Why do you want to celebrate Black folk being slaves for a year or 2 years or 3 years longer than they were supposed to be? Next thing, it dawned on me, I said, oh, this is one of those gay pride months, June, where they have all of these rainbow celebrations. And if you see the Juneteenth emblem, it's a fist. But guess what it is now? It's a rainbow fist.
Now, anybody who took anything that he said as factual after hearing him say that part right there, Oh, they're either already anti-black or they're ignorant as hell, or both. It's very, very likely that they could be both. I'm going to replay what he said.
Have all of these rainbow celebrations. And if you see the Juneteenth emblem, it's a fist. But guess what it is now? It's a rainbow fist.
All right. Family. This is the Juneteenth emblem. This is the Juneteenth flag. Where do you see a fist? You see the star that represents the state of Texas. You see the Nova burst that represents basically, matter of fact, I ain't even got a basically. It's right here in our face. Let's just read it. The burst outlines around the star is inspired by a nova, a term that astronomers use to mean a new star. To mean a new star. This represents a new beginning. It represents a new beginning. Here we have the June 19th date, which we all knows that represents the day that they were told that they were freed. Then you have the arc. The curve that extends across the width of the flag represents a new horizon, the opportunities and promise that lay ahead for Black Americans. And then the colors, red, white, and blue. The red, white, and blue colors represent the American flag, a reminder that slaves and their descendants were and are Americans. This is the Juneteenth flag. This is the emblem. So what is Judge Joe Brown talking about? I'll tell you what he did. What he did was conflate the Black Lives Matter flag with the Juneteenth flag. Once again, he conflated the Black Lives Matter flag for the Juneteenth flag. There has never been no rainbow Juneteenth flag. But there is a rainbow Black Lives Matter flag. There is a rainbow Black Lives Matter flag. That black fist was co-opted a while ago. A while ago. And that's why you barely even see us use this black fist here. You don't see none of us flying no Black Lives Matters flag. Especially on Juneteenth. So the fact that he would even equate the two flags shows you he's either slipping on his mental capacity or he made a mistake. I could say he made a mistake, honestly, if he did. Or something more sinister that he deliberately equated the two flags. Like I said, Judge Joe Brown is not a stupid man by any means. So I refuse to believe that everything that he's saying here, he didn't know that there was some misinformation in what he was spewing on Art's platform. And the fact that Art, there was no pushback on it. No pushback whatsoever. Let's get back over here, family.
It's an excellent opportunity for there to be a black holiday that is co-opted and taken into the theology of this rainbow cult. So another connection between black folk and this cult can be established and claimed. You go into Black History Month in February. In February, that's where they have gay pride celebrated all over the country. You go to Aspen and they have gay pride ski races. They have gay pride events in Denver. And that's in February, and that's supposed to be Black History Month. So what time is this where you get this association between a century and a half of people saying it's wrong to treat black folk in this particular kind of way? We have to do better. So you get that.
Okay, family. So I'm going to end it there because I don't want to take the whole or the full of this man's content, but I do want to show you some of the comments here. Of course, I had to leave my comment, which states Judge Joe Brown doesn't know what the hell he's talking about on this one. Number one, the Juneteenth flag never had a fist on it, and the colors aren't rainbow, it's red, white, and blue. Number two, the Emancipation Proclamation only gave freedom in areas where the government controlled territories. It took a while for the troops to get down there. There are several freedom days because of this. Now, so I'm not sure what the hell he's talking about, but it's not the history, nor is it based in fact. Then I had a response here. You clearly didn't listen, with the laughing face. So I responded, no, I clearly did. What he did was confuse the BLM flag for the Juneteenth flag and told a blatant lie about the history of Juneteenth. Miss me with your nonsense. Now, family, I'm going to read a couple of these other ones, but they're not going to be as sensible as mine was. This comment says, wise people will pay attention and learn and listen. Foolish people will run their mouth and not even listen to a word the man is saying. Next one says, same goes for BLM. That entire movement was manufactured and given to us. The next one said, now that's a history lesson. Thank you, Judge Joe. The next one says, it used to only be celebrated in Texas. Now it's become a national mess. June is gay month. Irony, the BLM turned out to be co-opted with the Alphabet Gang, not to mention spending donated funds by our people for luxury purposes. So, not far-fetched at all. Judge Joe Brown has so much wisdom, man, for real. He's telling the truth. Now, family, all these people that's agreeing with him because it's in the month of June, and June has been made, I guess, Gay Pride Month. These folks are the idiots and racists that I spoke about in the beginning. Anti-black racists, to be more specific. Yes, it was only celebrated in Texas. Just like the other Emancipation Days, Freedom Days, Jubilee Days, they're celebrated in their native states, in their native local cities, predominantly. However, it was Joe Biden who decided to make it a federal holiday. Nobody asked him to do that. People were celebrating it regardless. And in the same I believe the same damn week, he then turned around and made June Gay Heritage Month or Gay Pride Month. So just because Joe Biden did that, it does not mean that Juneteenth is co-opted. It means that, yeah, they're trying to infuse the two. And people such as myself and others, we're kicking all that to the wayside. We've been gatekeeping Juneteenth like a mug. And it isn't about just celebrating the releasing of the slaves 2 years after, a year and a half after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. It's not about any of that. It's about the freedoms that our family was able to receive, after which the new opportunities that they was able to receive after which are was supposed to be. Black history class. This man is strong forever, lost history knowledge. This is what I'm saying. When you don't know the history, someone can say some dumbass stuff and then turn around and have people believing it. Family, this has 24,000 views on it. It was posted 4 days ago. At the time that I'm doing this is Monday, October 6th. And 4 days later, it only has 1,200 likes out of 24,000 views. 1,200 likes. And as you can see, I hit them off with the dislike. So I'm glad that a lot of our folks ain't just taking what he said and running with it. And I'm glad that the ratio, the like ratio on the video shows that we ain't rocking with this nonsense. But I found it very important to bring this information to you guys and to make a video about this, because there might be some people in the younger era, in the younger gen, who don't know these things. And that's why it's very important for us to make sure our youth knows their history outside of any damn school. This is the conclusion he came to by doing a report in school. What took so long? The fact that there was no Union presence in those areas at the time. There was no internet. Everybody wasn't getting mail like we do today. And many of the folk couldn't read, even if they did get a letter saying they were free. So everything that Judge Joe said here, I find it to be totally 100% disingenuous. Whether he read a letter from a high-ranking official or not, I would want to see that letter. And even with that information, it don't make any sense, because if he's a high-ranking official within the army, then he would know that they were going from region to region enforcing the Emancipation Proclamation. They went from region to region enforcing the Emancipation Proclamation. That's why we have all these different Emancipation Days, Freedom Days, Jubilee Days. But family, you got to let me know what you think about this in the comments, because like I said, for me, that right there, I had high respect for Judge Joe Brown, even though I didn't agree with all his points. Somebody that I really held real high when it came to a lot of the things that he spoke about. Even if I didn't agree with some of the things he spoke about. But on this, yeah, I lost a lot of respect for this man. And that probably don't mean nothing to him. And that's okay. And this isn't a dig at him. This is just me saying what I have to say about this situation. But like I said, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section. I look forward to reading it. With that being said, family and friends, the doors of the church are now closed. Peace, family.
My grandfather built this country, man. He fought wars for it. And most places he went wouldn't let him sit down and get a cup of coffee. I can't even catch a cab in New York. You know, it doesn't matter how many degrees I get. All you people see is color. Your grandfather was an immigrant. You're American. My grandfather was born here, Duke. And you people still look at me as just another nigga.
I know that the government, whatever can't stand us black people, he's doing everything in the world to make black man be extinct. But I'm going to tell you one thing, us black people going to survive. So fuck everybody. I'm out.